Hey, 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 hello. So, we're going to be working on a dog from our Pups and Portraits book today. This book was actually drawn by our daughter, Aubrey, and I'm doing the colorizing. So, kind of fun. It's exciting. You can purchase these books from our website. They're little watercolor books, little mini watercolor books. And you can see there's lots of pages. There's 12 designs and 24 pages. So each design is duplicated. And I'm Erika Joanne from Erika Joanne Art. And I love using mixed media. And I do paint and color pencil together and just get the best of both worlds with those mediums. So we are going to get started. I'm going to show you some of the dogs that we've done so far. We're kind of pulling together a nice variety of dogs. So we did this one last time. Last week we actually did a little Valentine project and then took a break from the dogs to do this Valentine project. But we've done 3 dogs so far, and we're going to be working on our 4th today. So, I wanted to show you this. Isn't that fun? You can put a little jewel. See, I put the jewel on the nose. So fun. I'm thinking this dog today, which is a Hound mix, and I'm trying to decide if I want like a Hound Lab mix or a Hound German Shepherd mix. I think he kind of is leaning. He could definitely be a German Shepherd mix, actually, but I think he's kind of leaning towards the Hound Lab mix. So it's a tough one. I'm not sure. But while we're thinking on that, maybe we could move over to our other pieces that we weren't quite finished with. This one does need to have some edge sanding done to it. So we'll finish that up today, and then we'll glue one of these to the other side. So you can see how you can use the most out of your block or your panel. So this is a block, a 4x4 block, and then this is a panel that's 4x4. So I think I'll just go ahead and glue this onto my panel from last week. So hello, come on in. Welcome, welcome. We are doing a live today. Paint and pencil. We'll be using paint and color pencil with watercolor paper. And if you are new to me, I'm Erika Joanne from Erika Joanne Art. And I love mixed media. Just have so much fun with it. I'm going to put my website up so you guys can see what it is. And if you want, you can go check it out and you can get a better feel for what I do. Well, this is my website. Oh. So I'm putting on the glue. I don't want it too sparse, but then I don't want it like crazy either. You know, it doesn't need to be overdone. Because whatever's left over is going to just ooze out the edges and it kind of makes a mess that way. So I'm just going to try to get it on there so it's all the way to the edge. And I have a lot of people ask me, how do you glue your art to wood? This is how you do it. I use PVA glue. It's a great glue for using on paper, and it's archival. It's great. Artists use it, bookbinders use it. Okay, so I know that the face is on this upper end here, so I want to do the same with this side. And I put this other guy down. Pull this up here. And I'm just positioning it down where I want it. it will tend to curl up while I'm playing with it. But I'll just have patience with it and it will eventually stay down. So in the meantime, I'll go check out if we have any comments. So hello, hello. Boy, Western Washington has a beautiful, bright blue skies and then bright white clouds. That contrast, it almost looks like there's mountains out there, but it's actually just clouds. Could be like snowy mountains in my imagination. It's beautiful. Okay. Okay. Yeah, if you have any questions, just shoot them out to me. I'm watching the feed. So we're just gluing our paper down to the wood. This is our artwork. I've already put a sealer, a kind of a light sealer on it. And I use Josanya paints, which are amazing. Because I can use the paint either transparent or I can use it opaque. It's so amazing. And then they have these different mediums that you can use with your paint depending on what you want to accomplish. And as you learn more of the system, it becomes easier and easier. So great. I love using artist quality paints. Okay, it's starting to set a little better. But again, I still need a little more patience. You don't want to put this under something heavy to finish the drying until you know it's nice and set. Otherwise, it might shift while it's drying, and then you take it out at the end and it's not on there right. It's all scwampish. We don't want that to happen. So we just got to be patient with this process and getting it all set. Gosh, it's such a beautiful day out there. Oh my goodness, I bet there's boats in the water, people outside. Here in Washington, when it's nice outside, everyone wants to be outside because we have enough gray days. We do a lot of indoor days. So a nice sunny day means you got to be outside. Okay. So yeah, go check out what we have to offer on our website. We do have these little watercolor mini, they're like little mini watercolor books. This one is called Pups and Portraits, and it includes 12 different designs on 24 pages, and they're duplicated. And then you can color them how you want. We don't have instructions for this. I am doing the live so that you can have an idea and it maybe help you get started. Or if you want to follow along with exactly what I'm doing, you can always follow what I do. So we encourage you to use what you have, enjoy the art process. This is starting to set pretty good. I'm happy with it. So it's ready to put under something heavy. I just got to make sure it's not going to shift. It's not like moving around or anything. So I can put this under something heavy and it will dry the rest of the way. And then I can take my edge sander and knock off the little lip that's on both sides of that block. But that would be really cute. You can just turn it around as you want and display it either on an easel, or you could even put this on the wall, however you want to do it. So I'm going to put this under something heavy and get it drying good. There. Okay. So today we're going to work on this dog. If you have a book, some of you do, some of you have been purchasing these books so you can work along with me, and I so appreciate that. So just turn to this page. That's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to pull mine out of the book. You don't have to if you don't want to. You could use this book like a little scrapbook if you want, or you can buy one book and do these pages with a friend, because there are duplicates in the book. So you can see right underneath this is the same one. So yeah, you can make it a little scrapbook if you want. We had a lady come to our booth that said that she used her little book as a de-stressor. She'd come home from her stressful job at night, and she might only have 15-20 minutes to just sit and play with her colored pencils or whatever she had. And it was just a way for her to de-stress. So she kept it all together in one little book. Hey, Robin. You're watching in between cooking dinner. Nice. Hey, did you realize, Robin, that you won the prize for our last live? I don't know if you were on and if you saw that, but I just wanted to let you know you won it. And all you need to do is send me an email and tell me which e-pattern you'd like. And I'll send it to you. Hi, Cheryl. And then my husband. Okay. Let's get moving here. I have some reference photos that I've been looking at, and I am leaning towards a hound. It's a hound mix, like a hound lab mix, and kind of have a cute one here. He's really cute. Ooh, it's hard to decide. Oh my gosh, you guys. There is a real cute one that is like a hound German Shepherd mix too. He's really cute. So, I'm thinking. uh, I'm kind of leaning towards the Hound German Shepherd because he has more coloring to him and he's a little different than what we've been doing. So I think I'm going to go with him. Hound German Shepherd. Okay, so we're going to start with the brown earth color. There is a list of colors that we're using for this book. It's just one palette we're using for the whole book, and you can find that on our website. Just go to, there's like tabs at the top of my page that say shop, and underneath that tab, the shop tab, it says Erika Joanne Live, YouTube Lives. Go on there and you'll find this book and then a link to the different supplies that we're using in case you want to see that list. Okay, so I'm using Brown Earth from Josanya. This is one of their beautiful artist colors. And I'm going to water this down because we are doing kind of a watercolor look. And let's bring you guys in here a little closer. Oh, I'm going to make sure it's nice and yeah, there we go. Hey, Valerie, you forgot. Ah. And Sandy, hello, hello. You're walking your cute dog. And yeah, it does look kind of like a lab, but I'm just in looking at the different animals here, it could look like a German Shepherd mix too. So yeah, this is a hound though. Coming from my expert daughter who knows this kind, I don't know. She knows this kind of stuff more than I do. Okay, I'm just watering down my brown earth so it's like a watercolor. consistency. Just want it really watered down with water. Oops. Okay, I am gonna keep some of this white because he's gonna have some white on him, but everything else we'll just go ahead and color in because we're gonna go back in with the black. So just a light brown. You can go down on the nose. And we'll bring it down like that. So most everything is just the same color, just easy peasy. There's just one spot where I really want it to be white, and I'll show you what that is. I think I'll use my round brush for the tail. Okay. I love this oval wash brush. It was very handy. Oh, let's leave the tongue free also so that we can paint it red. But the place I want to keep white, I'll show you as we come down here, is the teeth. Well, yeah, it's kind of hard with this big brush. I'm gonna go switch over to my round brush so it's smaller. Okay, I need to do that right now. Just kind of add that there. Get our round brush. And let's avoid the teeth area. And there's this one area right here. Let's just kind of leave that white. I did kind of go in there with my brown, but and if you accidentally went in that area too, we'll just go over it with the warm white color that we have on our palette list at the end when we're working on details. So don't worry about it if you did go over it a little bit. But that's what I was going to try to keep open was the mouth area, the teeth, and this white area there. Let's go up to the tail. Add that tail. There we go. Okay. I should bring this up so you can see it a little better. There. Okay. So yeah, I kind of went in that little area there, but we'll catch it with our warm white later, so that's okay. Okay, I'm just going to kind of try and get this color to blend a little better. It's okay if it's like, mottled. And you can see how water just will pull up some of that pigment. Okay. Good, good, good. Okay, let's use our rose pink and we'll do the tongue. And you barely need any color on your palette, just a little tiny little dip, dip. That's all you need. Because we're going to water that down too with our round brush. And we're going to fill in the tongue. Work around the teeth area. Okay. So hello to everyone that's come on. Thanks for being here. This almost looks white under the camera, but it's just wet. It's wet, not white. Okay, we'll let that dry before we move on. But how is everyone? Goodness, I have been watching. I get this email that tells me about what's going on in the copyright office, and I try to keep up with what's going on there. There's always some change so if you're an artist or a designer, that's something you might want to just pay attention to. They just sent out a new email that said that you could, it sounds like, I need to read it even better than I did, but it sounds like you could like do batches of copyrights at the same time, which is kind of nice. Trying to keep up on that. Always trying to learn. Learning. Always a little behind though. Okay, he still has a little bit more to dry there. All right. I tried a new recipe last night. It was really good. In fact, I just had some right before I came out here. So what you do is you take a pan and you just put a bunch of vegetables in it. Like really whatever you have that can be baked, and put in like a soup. And so I had celery, I had onion, I had carrot. What else did I have? I had something else. Celery and I had red, a red pepper, red bell pepper, and a yellow bell pepper. So I cut those up, put them in there. See, I think that's all I had. Tomatoes. I had little tomatoes too. So I threw that all in there. And then you take a block of, it's kind of like a cream cheese. And I don't even remember the brand, but it's like a cream cheese mixture that has some like chives in it and garlic. It's like a soft cheese with different flavors. So you put that in the middle of the pan and you put it in the oven and let it roast for a little while until the vegetables are tender. And then once you bring it out, well, in the meantime, you can boil up some pasta. And I happen to have some chickpea pasta noodles, which are a little higher in protein. So I boiled those up and got them ready. And then once the vegetables were done, you take them out and you put them in a blender and you blend them till they're like the consistency of soup. And let me tell you, all those vegetables mixed up and like their flavors have been boosted because they were in the oven with a little bit of that soft kind of cheesy stuff that I put in. I don't even know what it's called. Starts with a B. You guys might know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the flavor was amazing. So good. And then you just put your pasta in with it and put a little salt and pepper on it and you're good to go. It was so good. So it's kind of like a sauce, like it could be like a tomatoey sauce, but it had all kinds of vegetables in it and no one would know other than it looked kind of orange. But it was so good. So that was what I made last night. Tonight I'm looking at maybe making like a chicken tortilla type soup. Well, it looks like it's about dry. So can start moving forward. You want to have carbon black on your palette. You just never know what's going to be made in the kitchen here at Erika Joanne Art. I get inspired by everything. You see a recipe on social media and like, I have to try it. Plus, it's getting bad. Like, how many of you it used to be like my mom always had a little recipe file, and I have not organized myself that far yet. I had like a recipe notebook there for a while, but I don't necessarily have a recipe file. I'm usually just grabbing recipe willy-nilly recipes. I do have a few favorites of my mom, so okay, so I'm gonna go in and add some black, and I wanna water down my black pretty good because it is highly pigmented, and I just want it nice and liquidy. So if you would just pull some of your black out and then make a new puddle, make it nice and liquidy. That way you can see kind of like where you're going if you need to darken it or not. I'm going to start at the tips of the ears, and you can see my color is pretty light. And I'm starting that way on purpose because I really don't want to go in too dark. I can always add more color to lighten it. So I'm going to bring that color up into this little area here in between the ear and the face. And then I'm not going to go all the way up the ear, but pretty much like 3/4 of the way up the ear. Okay, so now I'm thinking, okay, that's not quite dark enough. I can add a little more pigment. This is a nice way to do your watercolors. So you're just darkening as you go, and you're not going to make the mistake of putting too much color down and then regretting it. So you look a little darker. Now I have quite a little edge there, and I want that to blend into my brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse my brush out. Rinse it out so it's clean. Now I've taken most of the moisture out on a paper towel. I'm going to just lightly stroke over those two colors together, and look how that just blends it right in. So nice and easy. Okay, let's do the other side. Now kind of look where your ear ends. I know it comes up here to like the nose area. And then there's like this cheek area there. Okay, I see it now. And I'm just going to fill in this bottom portion of the ear, putting in a little more color. I'm going to bring it up higher. And I'm going to fill in the area between the ear and the head. So this whole area is going to be the black color. And bring it up to about there. And then I want it to blend. So again, I'm going to rinse out my brush. Take out the moisture on my paper towel. Go in and just stroke over those two colors, the brown and the black, and see how they start to blend together. Easy, easy peasy. Okay. Now I'm starting to think I want it a little darker. So I'm going to go grab a little more. I'm just darkening as I go because I don't want to go in too crazy. Start at the tip. That's where I want it the darkest. Just down at this tip. Okay. And then the other area I want it to be dark is in between the ear and the head. That little fold there, kind of created a little shadow. And then again, I do need that to blend. So I'm going to rinse out my brush, take out the moisture on my paper towel, and just do a little blending. Okay, let's work on the other side again. A little darker. Bring it up nice and dark in between the head the ear. There we go. And I don't think I need to do some blending there, so I'm just going to leave it. But if you need to blend, you can go ahead and blend. Okay. Now he has a little bit of black coming across the top of his forehead. So I'm going to bring that up here. So kind of tie in to the ears. Bring some black across the forehead. He looks like he has bangs right now. And then I want to bring that color down into where this heart is and fill in the heart with the black. Okay, let's make that a little darker. It's going to be darkest right kind of in this middle area. And then I want it to fade into the brown as I come down like that. Fade. Okay. A little darker right here. I want it nice and dark right in the middle here. And come down. And then I need to rinse out my brush and get this part to fade into the brown. There we go. Okay. Now he has a dark nose, so I'm going to start there. Let's start at the nose. So just fill in the whole nose with black. Okay. And then we'll bring down some color down into this lip area. Looks like he has a mustache. Okay. And then let's take some of that color up this way. And again, rinse out your brush. You're going to blend those strokes. You're going to blend them into the brown. And you can bring some of that blackness down the sides here and kind of blend them again into the bottom. There. So down the sides, and then let's do some blending there. Okay. Now we're going to move over to the eyes. A nice watery black. Let's just work around the eyes. Actually, just work right over the eyes. Okay. We can kind of clarify that later. And then all around like that is just going to be blended into the background. So I'm going to rinse out my brush and just kind of let that blend right in. You can go in and add a little more pigment in the center. Let it just kind of fade as it goes out from there. So let's do the other side. And a little more in the center. little darkness there. Let it fade. And then I'm going to take some of that down the side of the nose and just darken this area right here. Not everything, just kind of about right there. I do want that to also blend. Just a little bit right there. And I'm going to bring some down this other side. Like that. We are just developing the painting right now, so this is the messy stage. You're not quite sure what's happening at this stage. You're just trying to trust the process. Okay, we have a little darkness on his body, and I'm just going to put some right in here. I'm just barely touching my brush on the surface. Just add a little contrast between the head and the body. And I'm going to let that blend also. A little too much water there. Okay. And let's do the same on the tail, a little bit at the base of the tail. Okay. Okay, let's take some black, just very watered down, and work around the teeth. Just really watered down, but just work around the teeth. Like so. Got these little white spots down there. Like that. Okay. We're going to have like a nice white stripe down the front of his chest. And then we're going to also have some other little stripes going on. So this thing right here will be kind of a stripe coming down. A little darker. And on this side too, there's like a little kind of ruffle there. Let's bring some more down at the bottom. I think I'll put a little here underneath his chin too, just to add some contrast there. And a little bit on this leg. Let's blend it with our wet brush. And then you can go back and always darken some of the areas a little bit more if you want. Okay. Well, we got kind of the basic coloring in. Trying to think if I want to maybe add a little bit more there. So I'm going to bring this down like so. I kind of got into my background here. You can take a clean, wet brush and remove some color if you've gotten it into your background. You can try and remove it. It can act like an eraser. Oh, yes, Robin, you got it. I don't even know how to say it. Brazin? Boursin cheese? Yes, that's the cheese. Sandy, it's the one that Robin said. That's probably the same thing. You said garlic rondoulé. I don't know. Rondoulé. I think that might be it too. Oh, I just have fun in the kitchen. It's all an experiment. Yeah, he looks a little creepy right now, Valerie, because we haven't finished him. He's just got the main colors in there. Okay. Just trying to think if I think I might want to add a little darkness right here, right in this area. Let's do that. Okay. Okay, we'll let them dry. So that's a nice, just basic coloring. We'll go back in now with our colored pencils and just get everything nice and neat looking. Get those eyes figured out so that they pop better. Okay. Ooh, that sounds so good, Cheryl. Scalloped potatoes and ham and green beans. Woohoo! That's great. Okay, just letting it dry. Our first pencil will be the poppy red pencil. We'll just kind of have that ready to go. Well, it starts getting dark here like at 5, so it's a bummer. The days are very short. This time of year, it's kind of nice because you do stay in a little bit more and you can enjoy the creative time. But it also gets dark early. It's kind of a pain. Okay, my tongue is dry, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on my tongue. You'll want to start where it's darkest. So we want a nice little shadow up inside. And I want to color this with a little brighter red. This is my poppy red Prismacolor pencil. And I went darker right up inside, right there in the top of the tongue. So a little more pressure up there, and then less pressure as I bring my color down into the tongue. And then I want it to just fade as I come in down to the tip of the tongue. Just let it fade. There. Okay. Well, our black pencil, we could use let's use the sienna brown pencil. We can add some more color there. He does have some color right in here, but I'm going to start at the top. So let's just bring some shading down from the forehead, kind of down in to the dog's forehead, right up here. Let it fade as you come down. And then he has some underneath his eyes, just kind of deepen this area with some sienna brown. Over here too. Make sure everything's dry or it's not going to work very well for you. If you need to, use your heat gun or your hair dryer. And then I want to color in the ear area right up here a little bit more. So I can let that fade as it comes down, but darkest up at the top. And I'm going to put some on the tip of his tail, a little shading there. Let it fade. And let's come down here on the mouth. A little bit of shading at the bottom here. And then I'm working around this white area. I'm going to add some contrast there around the white. And then let it fade. And a little bit at the top of each of the legs. Let those come down and fade also. Okay. They can lightly line around some of the elements. I think I'll do a little bit around this ear. That's pretty good. Now let's go into the tongue and repeat our shading on our tongue. A little bit at the top of the tongue. Just to repeat, so you're not going out as far with this shading. There you go. He's looking scarier and scarier. Let's just cross our fingers he comes out I'm envisioning him. Let's just do a little cross our fingers. Okay. We've got our black pencil. We'll work on the black pencil next. This is the black Prismacolor. These are wax-based. These are the Prismacolor Premier, which are a nice soft pencil. Has lots of pigment and color. Okay. So I'm going to start back up at the top and work all the way down. Grab my picture. Okay. I'm going to do a little shading down the middle of the forehead. So I want it to be darkest right in the middle, even into this heart area. And then let your shading fade off on both sides of your shading. Okay. and then bring it down and then let it kind of come to a little tip as it comes down. And then now we're going to deepen the shading right over here by the ear. Kind of just let that shading fade as you come over so it's deepest right up against the ear. And then bring it down, line the side of the face like that. And then our deepest area of shading is going to be down into the fold of this ear. So it's deeper and darker right down here in this small area right here. And then as it comes up, it fades. Okay. So now let's work on the tip of this left ear. So the tip is going to be the deepest color. So that's where I'm starting, is right at the tip. I want it the darkest down here at the tip. Let it fade as it comes up into the ear, like so. Okay, moving on over to the right side. Let's work up here at the top of the head. It's just a little bit of shading right in this area, kind of underneath this ear area. It's more to the right side of the forehead. Let's do a little shading right in there to match the other side. And then same thing, there's this inner fold. More pressure down in this little fold here. And let it fade as it comes up from there. Okay, same thing over here. Shading at the tip of the ear. Bring it up about an inch from the tip. Let it fade into the ear. Okay. Now let's go back to this back area, his back and his behind area. Let's slightly line around that. And we're going to shade right up against this ear on the right in this little corner thing, this little nook, right there. That's your darkest shading. Let it fade from there. And then also on the tail, we can shade the darkest right up against the base of the tail and let it fade into the tail, a little bit at the tip too. He's looking cute. Almost. Anyway, he's starting to take form. He just doesn't have any eyes yet. So, okay, we'll work on the eyes next. All right, what we want to do is we want to outline the outer edge of the eye. So let's just start with that. Just kind of a little line around our eyes. And you can see those lines. So go ahead and fill those in. I don't know if you can see that very well. Maybe I should bring you down a little closer since we're working on the eyes. Okay. So go ahead and put like eyeliner around his eyes like that. Okay, and let's do that on both eyes. A little bit of eyeliner on his eyes. Okay. Now you're going to shade from that liner down and then let that fade. So from the liner down into this, to the fur area, and also at the top of the eye. So shade away and up from the eye. Do that on both eyes. And you can bring some of the black, kind of like pull some of it up. Almost like there's little fur pieces coming up from there. And then down from the eye, like so. Okay, it's hard to see, but I'm basically working around the eyes. Okay. And then I'm going to bring that color out and do a little kind of shading on the left side here and have it tie into the nose. So like that. We'll use our highlighting skills to make this guy come alive. But we're just getting the shadows in right now. Cheryl said, and that is why I do not wear mascara to bed. That's exactly what I will look like in the morning. Me too. Okay. We're going to tie this other side in a little bit. It's not as much shading on the right side. Tie that into the nose also. And then from the nose, just take your not brush, but take your pencil and just pull up lines of fur like that. Okay. Okay. You got me laughing. I'm giggling now. Okay. So let's put a little shading right in here, kind of in this cheeky area. Not much though, just a little bit there. And then the nose. Let's work on the nostrils. That's the darkest area of your nose, is those nostrils. So let's just fill those in with the black. And then you have a line that kind of comes down the middle of the nose. Go ahead and put that in. And then also some shading from the bottom up. Okay, bringing my shading down into this little lip area, just a little bit more. You're going to go darker right in the middle here and then fade as you go across each side, like so. And you can bring your black down a little line down the tongue. You can add that line with some black. Okay. I'm going to bring some shading right in this area here. It's kind of like a little mouth area. And then outside of the mouth, there's a little, almost like a ledge. You want to go ahead and shade that area there. And then we're going to come down into the gums. Do a little shading as we come down here, working around the teeth. Okay. And then some lining at the bottom of the chin. And a little bit of color up from there. Okay. So now we just have the chest to do and then our legs with our black, and then we can go in and start adding all our highlights, which will be fun. Okay, so we want a little shading here to build contrast between the body and the chin area. So I went darker right up against the chin and then let it fade coming away from there. And we're kind of working really on the black areas. So we're going to bring some shading up a little farther into the body or the chest. Under the ear. And then down here, you can kind of color in there a little bit and let it fade on the edges. Okay, and then a little bit on the upper legs, just a little repeat. Okay. Well, I think that's pretty good with our black. We'll start in with our highlights. See what we can do to make this guy look normal. Hey, Brenda, mascara eyes. Yeah. We're playing around with mascara today. Okay. Why don't we work on the eyes first, since that's the area that we're all a little concerned about. Okay, so let's see. How about some of our Naples yellow hue? Let's start with that. You can use a liner brush or a round brush. I'm using the tip of my round brush. And I'm going to do a little line along the bottom of the eyes like so. Both eyes. The line along the bottom. Okay, now we're going to take some of that Naples yellow hue and mix it in with our brown. So a little bit here. We're going to make kind of a light brown. Like that. Light brown. And let's put in some highlighting in our eyes. And these are just tap, tap, tap. So put the highlight in. Tap, tap, tap. So he left his mascara eyes. Now he's in his vampire eyes. Okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. Now I want to take some of that same Naples yellow hue. And I'm doing a damp dry brush technique. It's where I put some of the Naples yellow hue on my brush, and then I take some of that out on a paper towel. So there's just a hint on my brush after I'm done wiping it off on my paper towel. And I do like a little moisture in the brush, but not too much. And I'm going to add just a few little highlights up here in this area above his eye. Right over here too. If this doesn't work out right, I'm going to go back to Aubrey and say, okay, what is the mix again? Because I tried. Okay. And then let's get a little bit of that highlight going up over the eye. So not too much, but just putting a little corner in there, and then you can kind of brighten the tip there. And I'm going to put a little more down here in my eyes. A little more of a highlight down here. Tap, tap, tap. And a little bit of a highlight on my ears, bringing some of that color down. This is the damp dry brush technique. You're just barely touching the surface and letting that paint just kind of it's like a dry brush look, but our brush does have some dampness to it. Okay. And then I'm going to put some on the nose. This area around the nose, I mean, on both sides. Okay. And then some damp dry brushing on the top of the nose, like so. How was everyone's Valentine's Day? We had a simple Valentine's Day, but it was all really good. We decided to not go to like a fancy restaurant. We would just go to a regular restaurant. And this restaurant was more kind of like what was called Kettlefish. And they have the best, oh my goodness, their fish is so good. And it's just like fresh, it was really good. So we went there and then we went to Hobby Lobby and got us a clock because our clock decided to give up the ghost. And then we went to the movies. It was so fun. Okay, I'm going to put some highlighting right in this right cheek, right in this area of the cheek. And some over here on this side too. So I kind of planned it this time. I told my husband, next time you get to plan it. So next year's your turn. He was like, Tag, you're it. So he said, okay. But we didn't have a lot of time this, we've been really busy. So we just kept it simple. All right. It's still looking a little scary to me. So we're going to keep working on it. There is a little highlight here at the bottom of this nostril. On this side, on the right side, kind of up like that. I think I need to bring his highlight on his eye down a little farther. So I'm going to do that, but then I'm going to fill in, I'm just making his eyes a little bigger. So I'm going to fill in that area. With some brown and black. It's kind of like a nice dark brown. So right in here, just gonna fill this in. I'm making his eyes bigger. Okay, now I'm gonna bring the brown of his eye down farther. And some highlight in there. Okay. And we still don't have the pupils totally good in there, so the pupils are going to be like this and fill kind of most of the eye. Just a little bit of brown at the bottom of the eye. Okay. His eyes were just a little too small. And now the yellow is a little stark, so I'm going to go back in with a wash of my brown and wash over that highlight. See how that just tones it down? Okay. And then I do want to wash over some of my other highlights to tone them down too. Okay. Now, to get that brown highlight in there, his eyes, I really need to kind of go back and remix my paint again. So I'm going to take some of that brown and my Naples yellow hue, create this lighter brown. Let's go back to our eyes and do, maybe I need to put a highlight at the top of the eye. I'm looking at this reference photo. It doesn't really match, and it could be messing me up a little bit because I'm going to put my highlight at the top instead. Sorry, you guys. One of you, those of you that are following along, you're probably like, what is going on here? What just happened? Since he's looking up, his highlight should be at the top, not at the bottom, like my reference photo. My reference photo has it at the bottom. So I'm going to put it at the top. And then let's just add a little highlights like this. And I'm just tapping in these little highlights. He's looking happier now. Like that much better. Okay, I'm going to bring in my warm white and we'll keep working on these highlights. Let's do a little warm white Naples yellow hue mix, just a 1-to-1. Okay, 1-to-1. I'm going to add more highlight right in here. Damp, dry brushed highlight. So a little bit of color on my brush. I'm using a small amount of pressure. A little bit right here. A little bit in the eye. Just a tiny bit there. I'm going to add some highlight on the edge of his ear. Here and here. And here. And then I'm going to soften this area right in here above his nose with my highlight. I have some of those pulled hairs that I did with my pencil, and I'm just going to soften that. I feel like they were a little too much. I'm still using the damp dry brush of warm white and Naples yellow hue mixed together. It's just a 1-to-1. If your brush does not pull along very well, if it starts to get kind of frustrating to work with, then you just need a little more moisture in your brush. I'm gonna add a little more of a highlight here. He's starting to come along. A little more of a highlight here. It's a little stark there. I'm gonna soften that. There we go. And then I'm going to add touches of highlights kind of just in random places. So a little bit right here. Using just a little bit of paint on my brush. Sometimes these highlights work a lot better if you layer them. So you go back, you kind of keep going back and layering. They look a lot better when you do that. Okay. I'm going to fix this area on his chest that I. And then you can also take the warm white and add to his teeth. Okay, I still need to work on his eyes. There's some work that needs to be done there. He's coming along. The rest of him is looking okay, but I still need to work on those eyes. So I'm gonna keep up on that. I'm gonna take my brown and see if I can't add a highlight right here above his eye. Let's add some Naples yellow hue to that just to lighten up this area right here. And this area over here too. Okay, keep working it. I'm going to lighten that up a little further. How are you any of you painting along with me, and how is your dog coming along? He's looking a little better. He's getting better. I continue to layer and layer until I'm getting the shape and the form right. I think I really want some of that brown to come down in here on his ear too. Okay. Well, he's getting there. Hello, everyone. So Mary says she's from a cold beach. Well, it's better than no beach, right? Oh, oh, we had a wonderful date, Cheryl. It was great. And you had a movie night at home. You made your hubby enchilada sauce, one of his favorites. That's great, Cheryl. And you went out for ice cream. That sounds like a perfect date. Oh, thank you, Linda. I did up my nails. I'm trying. Yes. Valerie says his eyes are a little black. Should there be brown in there? Yes. I actually went down and kind of filled in the bottom of the eye because I had the highlight at the bottom, and it really, just because he's looking up like he is, it probably should be in the top of the eye, that highlight, that main highlight. But let's go ahead and put a little brown in the bottom of the eye too, because I think that will help kind of waken those eyes up a little bit. And I already see it. It looks great, doesn't it? Just a little brown in there. So the main, the brightest highlight is going to be at the top of his eye, and then this kind of brown coloring the bottom of the eye. That does help a lot. And I do feel like my eyeliner, my white eyeliner is a little too bright. I mean, there needs to be brightness there, but I also think maybe I need to bring some darkness down from that eyeliner. So I'm going to take some of my black. I might even use my pencil. I'm going to go back to my pencil. I have a little more control that way. So from right here, down. I'm thinking I need a little more black in there. I think his eyes are looking a lot better. What do you guys think? And I'm going back to my sienna brown pencil and filling in that area. I just feel like those highlights were looking kind of strange. So we'll try again with that. Not so much highlight there, just a little bit. Okay. Well, he was an interesting one. He was an interesting one. Maybe a little more brown up in this area. I'll have to take it to my daughter and say, "What do you think he is?" She'll be like, "I don't know, Mom. I can't help you there. That's a mix I don't even know." That little highlight. Whelpers. This highlight I'm going to wash over to dampen it down. Let me get blend in there a little so it's not so stark. And I think we need to put a little wetness on the tongue, and that would just be plain warm white. Just a few little highlights. The tongue, make it look wet. Or there's leftover kibble on his tongue. Okay, a little. I don't want him to look snarly, like he's uh, barking at you. He's just has his mouth open. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna take my red and fix that a little bit. Some of those are a little too much. Tone it down. And then maybe one bright one or two. There. And maybe like a nice bright dot in his eye. Just a nice one. Just this is the warm white. One nice bright dot. Sorry, I'm going back and forth, but there. And then he needs a nice bright dot on his nose. There. There. He was like our impressionistic dog. He definitely looks like a mix. So I'm going to pull him out, see what you guys think. This was practice for sure. see what you think. He was an interesting guy. See a little highlight on his bum and his tail. Do you think he needs anything else? I'm just putting this here, see what it does. A little highlight on that ear, that upper ear. Okay, yeah, the eyes are much better, aren't they? They took a little bit. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. Well, he came a long way, right? Sometimes that's how designs are. It just is this, you just kind of have to keep with it. Don't give up. Especially you get to this point, any of you designers out there, you get to a point where you think, ah, heck, I'm done. This is not turning out. And I could have easily been there in the middle of this video because the eyes weren't looking right. Something was off. And I could have easily just said, ah, this isn't turning out. Let's just try it over. But we hung with it, right? We kept hanging with it. And then thought, well, what if we changed the highlight position in the eyes? That helped a lot, just making that highlight change. And then their suggestion of putting some brown in the eye really helped. So I think he came along. And he looks a little bit like an older dog, doesn't he, to you? Does to me. Anywho, yeah. So you just stick with it. You get over that hump. And then usually when you get over the hump, it gets better as you go along. It just takes you hanging in there with it to help it move along. So that was fun. He was our little kind of hound dog mix. And he looks like an older dog to me. He's a happy dog, though. A lighter brown highlight in the eye. Valerie, yes. Well, on my end, it looks lighter. Probably on your end, it looks darker, but I'll put a little more of a lighter brown in there. See what we can do. See what we do here. Maybe down in this area, right? Yeah, that helps a lot too. That kind of wakens up his eyes, doesn't it? Just want to make sure it's the same position in each eye. So it's kind of the same area. So I have the brightness right down here, brightness down here. You want it to be the same on both sides. Yes. Oh, thank you, Valerie. I think so too. Thank you for your suggestion. Okay, you guys. Well, we got another dog done. So we have more to do. We're going to be doing more next Tuesday. Got another dog to do. And with this one, this makes our fourth dog. So next week will be the fifth dog. We'll make our way through this book and get them done. So, all right, you guys, I probably better get off. I got a lot to do. So I'm going to have to say ta-ta for now. Again, I'm Erika Joanne from Erika Joanne Art. And if you want to see what I do, you can go check out my website. We do all kinds of fun stuff with mixed media, color pencil, and paint together. And this is a dog from our Pups and Portraits book. It's a little mini watercolor book. And there's 12 designs and 24 duplicates. So there's 24 pages of those designs. So enjoy, have fun, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll talk to you later. Ta ta for now.